Okay, hello and welcome back to another rendition, another attempt at restarting the Trademark Sports podcast. So basically what we're going to be doing once a week, hopefully try and make it more than like 6 rounds into the season this time, but we're a month away from the NRL season kicking off, which is actually just ridiculous. Gets me very, very excited, but we're just going to talk about, I think, just some like news that's happening around the NRL, highlight over a couple of different things every single week and give my opinion and like what I think is going on there. But look, if there's things that you guys want me to talk about or anything, any topics, any segments and stuff towards the podcast building into it, let me know. Obviously, you're going to try and hit a bit of a different angle than like the other podcasts out there because there's so many good ones getting around in the rugby league spaces at the moment. But yeah, look, this is just basically an extended version of like what I do anyway. But yeah, let's honestly get straight into it. Today, we're going to talk about some exciting news for Knights fans, Queensland fans with Kalyn Ponga. Talk about Wayne Bennett coaching New Zealand and some other things that are going on there. Inglis with the Tigers. And then also some news with the Cowboys co-captaincy and what's going on there. And what the direction looks like for the Cowboys moving forward. So if you like this and you're happy for the podcast to be returning, like the video, give it 5 stars on Spotify and that sort of thing. Really, really helps as well. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, if you can download it, that's what else like really, really helps us boost this platform and helps us continue for the future. So let's get straight into Kalyn Ponga. I think he's on for a massive 2024. Obviously, he had a huge 2023, ended up taking out the Dally M with the last 10 weeks of just pure brilliance. Some of the best individual football we have ever seen. But I actually think he might be getting better in 2024. And that comes off the back of the comments he made the other day with him withdrawing from the All-Star game. So he said, it's a special game for both cultures and I've been lucky enough to be a part of it for 3 series now. But I want to focus on the Knights and get myself right for the season. He also later said that I do not want to put myself forward for Queensland this year. Hopefully we can have another good season here and I can play Origin and go a few steps further. Now that is a man that is on an absolute mission, and I think, I might talk about this a little bit later, but I think the All-Star concept in its current form is probably dead, to be honest, because none of the big players want to play it anymore, just because the risk of injury is too high, and that's what Kalyn Ponga is saying. He wants to get back to Origin football, and that's huge. Because he's got to get over Reece Walsh, who's one of the most informed players in the competition. But for the Knights as well, if you're a Knights fan, that has to excite you and make you feel so good about this upcoming season, in that your best player, the player that your team's based around, is fully dedicated to doing something really special with the Knights. I think the thing I see with the Knights as well is they've all bought in. Every single player seems to be on the same page with what they want to do, which it's scary for the rest of the competition because you get a firing Bradman Best on one edge, Dane Gagai with all his experience on the other edge. Yes, Dom Young was really, really good last season, but he's not irreplaceable, if you know what I mean. You can put another fast winger on that edge and you're getting nearly the same production. He's not he's ridiculous at his own end. You got Greg Marju for that, so you don't lose too much there. But I think Kalyn Ponga, for me, if he can win the Knights of comp, now I'm not saying he can, and I'm not saying he will this year. Well, I'm also not saying he can't, but I think if he can win a comp at the Knights, that will put him down as potentially one of the best players we've seen. That's probably a bit hyperbolic, but I think when you look at around the league, the best player, in my opinion anyway, is Nathan Cleary. Won a few comps now, whoever is the team to knock off Penrith, I still think they're going to win this season, but whoever's the team to knock off Penrith, that's got to go down as one of the best competition wins of all time, because Panthers could, honestly, they're definitely the best team we've ever seen in the salary cap era. But yeah, Kalyn Ponga, he's hot, he's blonde, he's looking fit and ready. So all the Knights boys, everyone is saying that they're training hard and everything in preseason. You'd be silly not to. If you came out and was oh yeah, preseason's going okay, it'd be very, very concerning. So I think Kalyn Ponga, I don't have him as a favourite for the Dally M this year. I think, honestly, I could talk about that in some more other content. But yeah, he's definitely still a shout, because when Ponga's playing well, the Knights are playing well, and they win games, and usually it's large part to Ponga, and he'll get the 6 points more often than not when the Knights win. So move on from the Kalyn Ponga chat now over to some stuff about Wayne Bennett. So Wayne Bennett has applied for the job as New Zealand coach, and I think for me, this sort of shows me where his direction is going after the Dolphins. So obviously we wouldn't be coaching them until the end of the year anyway, which is after his Dolphin contract finishes. But I sort of thought he might go into a bit of an advisory role for the Dolphins, which he still might. But I think his passion and where his heart lies is in coaching. And like when you're coaching like the Warriors, not so the Warriors, New Zealand, the Kiwis rather. That's my bad. When you're coaching the Kiwis, like he just gets to sit back and watch footy all year and just pick all the, like, have a look at who's the informed New Zealand players and stuff, who's playing well, that sort of thing, and then get the boys together for a few weeks, have a couple piss ups, have a bit of fun with the boys, and then go out and win some footy games. Like, it's honestly sounds like the perfect gig for an NRL coach and for Wayne Bennett. But given his age and given what he's done in the game, he just wants to slow down a little bit. Like, he's basically working for a month a year and just getting to watch footy. That sounds like the perfect gig, let's be real. But yeah, so some weird stuff happened here because Peter V'landys made some comments about Wayne Bennett coaching New Zealand, and he said, I don't know why Wayne wants to get on a loser, he said jokingly. And this is the thing as well, right? So I think the media has blown up this whole thing. Like, I feel like V'landys, I haven't actually seen the interview, or the radio thing that he's on myself, so I can't really talk about it too much, but I think he was just taking the piss, and it's just been taken so far out of context. But yeah, he also said, he's normally a winning coach. Why would he want to go and coach against Australia is beyond me. And look, New Zealand did win the Pacific Championship last season, so can you really say that he wants to, like, he usually a winning coach? Anyway, I think pretty sure he was also the coach when they won the World Cup. Could be wrong, but he's been a New Zealand coach before. But yeah, New Zealand had, there was a brilliant clap back on their Instagram. They posted the trophy celebration from the Pacific Championship with the caption, "Tell Peter V'landys we doing eat swa," which, yeah, that's a good laugh, and all in good spirits. But yeah, I do think Wayne Bennett, like, he's a very, very good man manager. So he'd get the best out of players that are playing for New Zealand. Look, I'm not sure where the international game in rugby league is going, but I think the better coaches, the better players, and that sort of like just a better product is always a good thing, and it draws eyes to New Zealand as well, and to, like, if they play against like a lower country like, I don't know, your Fijis and Papua New Guineas and that sort of thing, just to see how Wayne Bennett New Zealand team goes. Yeah, moving forward, I do see Wayne Bennett just going to more of a chill role like this. And like, look, there's obviously going to be stresses and everything in itself. Like, I think it's a bit different though to coaching like State of Origin. Like, we've seen Michael Maguire go from coaching New Zealand to New South Wales. I think that's a lot higher workload, a lot more goes into it, a lot more involvement. But at the same time, Wayne Bennett might end up doing some, like, a lot of pathway stuff for New Zealand Rugby League, because obviously, like, there's so much talent over in New Zealand. You see how good the All Blacks are and how good their talent is and how deep their talent is through the Super Rugby. So I feel like he might be working towards getting those systems in place for Rugby League and trying to get some of that talent over to the 13-man game. But yeah, I think, like, it's a win-win for New Zealand. Win-win for all parties. I think it's just great for Rugby League, and as I said, I just think that Wayne Bennett will be going into more of this relaxed role than, like, he still probably will be in an advisory role at the Dolphins under Christian Wolf, but that's just my thoughts on Wayne Bennett going to coach New Zealand. Now, the next thing that has been a bit of big news recently, a couple of clips going viral of Greg Inglis working with the West Tigers. Now, there's a bit of stuff going on about the West Tigers. Again, like there always is, because the media just like to beat them up. They get clicks, that sort of thing. So, still talking about Wayne Bennett, still on my mind. Greg Inglis has been pictured walking into West Tigers training, and from what I see, he's working with Dream Buller in a mentorship role about everything off the field and stuff, like an Indigenous man talking to an Indigenous youngster, helping him in terms of just life around football and life in general. Like, it's hard for a 21-year-old kid, especially, like, he's basically become an NRL player and a famous bloke overnight. So I think Greg Inglis being there, one of the best players, one of the biggest players of his generation, will be very, very good for him. And look, the Tigers, I think it was Shane Richardson, who's their new CEO, come out and said something along the lines of, like, he's not there to coach him as a fullback, he's there to mentor him. But wouldn't you just be... if I was the Tigers, I'd be like, hey, GI, you want to come just train with him and help him positionally, defensively, just help him become the best player he can be. And I think, like, they'd be stupid not to do that. Like, why wouldn't you? But yeah, look, I think all these people, like, this media beat up about, like, oh, they must be paying him and what's the rah. But Greg Inglis and Dream Buller I think they played in the Korea Knockout together or something, or they played in some tournament together. So they've known each other for years. I'm pretty sure Dream Buller's old man is from the same area that Greg Inglis is from. So there's connection there before all this sort of stuff anyway. Just a bit of media beat up. And yeah, there's something else. Like the other day, there was like just this... Poor old Shane Richardson just got absolutely pumped the other day in an interview because his son is a player agent, I believe. And Shane, the Tigers signed Solomona Vatapa. He's got a hard name for a little white boy like me to pronounce, but Solomona. He played up for like Brisbane Tigers or something in Queensland Cup. His highlight package is absolutely nuts. He looks ridiculous, and people are saying that he only signed for the Tigers because Shane Richardson's the CEO and his son's his manager and all this and that. But Shane Richardson also said his mixtape got sent to the Tigers like 5 months ago and no one's seen it. Like Benji hadn't seen it and all this sort of stuff, and said that we need to get this bloke immediately. Also, people there was something about like he got pulled out of like Brisbane Broncos trade and trial, which was like for 16 weeks in their preseason for a development contract at the Tigers. If you're this player's manager and you're the player and you're given like a 4-month trade and trial or a 52-week guaranteed contract for a whole season as a development player for the Tigers, even if you play in New South Wales Cup or whatever, I think I know what I'm taking. Like the job security is way better, that sort of thing. And with the changes to the rules around development contracts where they can play, like people on development contracts can play from round 1, why would you not take that gamble? Obviously, the Tigers are being more of a struggling side. There's more of a way into that side, especially now that David Nofaluma's gone. So there's positions available in the outside backs there. I think he honestly may be a starter in round 1 for the Tigers. This bloke looks unbelievable. I'm going to just try and find his name properly because I'm doing him a disservice here, but if you haven't seen his highlights, go check this bloke out. He is phenomenal and a great pickup for the Tigers, and I just think Tigers are just getting put through the ringer again because they've been, let's be real, the worst club historically in the NRL era. So for those playing along at home, I believe his name is Solomona Ta'ape. That's probably mispronounced incredibly. If you know this guy or you know how to say his name, please correct me. But it's either Ta'ape or Tapi. Look. Again, I'm not sure, but go on to YouTube. There's a video here from NRL Rookie Watch, and just his highlight. He's a freak. I don't know how he hasn't played NRL yet, so that's one to watch for the Tigers for sure. We'll move on now, talking about the new Cowboys co-captains. So I saw this the other day, and I saw that they made Tommy Dearden and Ruben Cotter captains. I didn't really think, honestly, too much of it. I thought, okay, like you've got a couple blokes who are around like 24, 25 as the captains moving forward. Actually, I think Tommy Dearden's still like 22, which is stupid. But so you've got those guys that they're going to be around the club for a long, long time. Tommy Dearden just re-signed. Like they know the Cowboys way is ingrained in them, that sort of thing. Like it's good for the culture. And I saw Brent Reid sort of talking about Jason Tomlalo's future a little bit here and there, and I thought, like, come off it a bit. Like, you're just trying to make a story out of nothing here. And then I saw a Todd Payten interview and went, okay, right, I see what he means. And like the reasoning is it's very interesting. So this is a direct quote from Todd Payten. Looking at our group, a few guys right at the back end of the career, and over the course of the next 12 months or next 2 seasons, they won't be here for a number of reasons, and we needed to make a shift in that regard so that we had enough time to give support that Tommy and Rubes need to develop into the best captain they could be when all that experience is gone. So you listen to that, and it sounds like Tomalolo and Chad Townsend are out the door. Basically, they're looking to move him on and get rid of him, clear up some salary cap space, which Tomalolo's been on $1 million a year for a long time, and let's be honest, when he first signed that, absolutely worth it. As he's gone on, probably now he's not worth that like 7-figure contract. I think maybe to a club like the Bulldogs, that sort of thing, which Brent Reid did mention that he would be a good fit for. Like probably $1 million player for those the lower struggling clubs in the competition. But so Chad Townsend's 33. Sort of makes sense. He's coming to the twilight of his career a bit. He's fallen out of form. And honestly, falling out of favour with Cowboys fans. I was talking about like my predicted teams and stuff for the Cowboys, and I had Chad Townsend in 7, obviously. And so many Cowboys fans are ripping into me on, it's got to be Jake Clifford. It's got to be, I believe, there's Zach Labart, and I think there's another Labart there as well who plays 6, or maybe this is Zach Labart, and then moving Tommy Dearden into the 7. Like, there was just all these different ways to get Chad Townsend out of that team. I thought, geez, that's really, really harsh. But I also didn't realise that the bloke's 33, so he is going to be moving on soon in his NRL career. And if you're the Cowboys, you want to be well set up for the future. So I can understand why you'd want to be bringing in someone else into that space. But Tamalolo's 30, so he's still got a couple of years of good football left in him, if he can get brought out of him. I don't know if Todd Payten and Jason Tamalolo necessarily see eye to eye, because Tamalolo had heaps of reduced minutes when Payten first got there. He was coming off the bench, all this sort of stuff. Yes, there was a few injuries here and there, but it just seems like when they get brought together, that relationship isn't flourishing the way that it has under other coaches. So I wonder whether a move away might be the best thing for both parties, just because, like as we said before, there's a lot of that salary cap being chewed up there, and you just want to see the best football from the Cowboys and also from Jason Tamalolo. So if a relationship has to end for the best for both parties to happen, then look, so be it. So yeah, let me know what you think about Jason Tamalolo being at the Cowboys. Whether you think that he should be like, look, you'd love to see him be a one-club player. Do you think that's possible for Jason Tamalolo, or do you think he probably should move on and free up that spot for someone else coming through? Because the Cowboys do have a lot of good young juniors coming through. But yeah, last thing we're going to talk about today is Cameron Smith has stood down as Queensland assistant coach. As a Blues fan, this is phenomenal news. Also just means they're going to bring some other coach in who's just going to come through and absolutely blitz it. But yeah, look, it was announced ages ago that Cameron Smith was coaching like Currumbin Eagles under 15s, like Division 2 side, and I actually think that might be the reason why he's not coaching the Origin, because it says in an article from Channel 9's like, this year I've decided to go coach at grassroots level at Currumbin Eagles. I feel it's really important to get back to grassroots level because that's where our next generation of players come from, which is so interesting because like surely you can do a bit of both. Like, you've got assistant coaches, people helping you around, like the Currumbin Eagles. I'm sure there's someone else's dad can come in and step in for 3 weeks while Cameron Smith's away at Origin camp. But I get it, and I really like it. I think it's a very selfless thing for Cameron Smith to do. I think Billy Slater will still absolutely be fine as Queensland coach. It's just going to be one more thing that they say, oh, backs against the wall. Like, I don't know, this stupid Queensland spirit stuff really, really, really annoys me sometimes. But yeah, if you made it this far to the video and you want to cop some absolutely fire hats for the 2024 NRL season to support your team, make sure you go have a look at the League Lids website. They've got some really, really nice hats over there for every single team now in the January drop. If you use my code Trademark, you get 10% off your hat as well. If you use that code, you're helping me out. And also, like, be patient. They're a New Zealand-based company, so if you are Australian, it does take a little bit of time for shipping. Don't expect it to be at your door in 3 days. But yeah, like, they are so worth it. I've got a Knights hat as well, and I've got a Dragons hat on the way. So yeah, they're really, really high quality. Couldn't recommend them like highly enough. But that brings us to the end of the first edition of the 2024 season of the Trademark Sports Podcast. Just a short one today, just to get back into the rhythm and swing of it. If there's anything, so I'm just going to be basically like a news podcast at the moment. As we get into the season, there'll be some more tips and that sort of thing arise. But yeah, if there's any segments that you'd like me to see me do, any topics you'd like me to discuss, make sure you reach out to me like on Instagram, in the comments, that sort of thing. Yeah, but it's great to have you around, and it's good to be back in the podcasting game. Let's try and be consistent this season. Look, there's a few things coming up that might interfere with that just a little bit, but look, I plan to have a podcast out for every single round going into this season. We've got a month left to go, so we're going to be getting back into the habit of it, into the swing of it before the season starts, and then we should be flying it off to the races. So thanks for watching, guys. Remember to, Scotty, drink your water.